Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Classes of Mail. My name is Alan Geegax, and I have a special guest, Rich.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Yeah, that is my buddy Rich. He is my campaign advisor, and the last time he came on was about a year ago because that was the last time that I needed a campaign advisor because we were doing campaigning for running for office in the Branch 2502 elections. So it's time again to run for office, and I'm running for secretary of our branch, and I'm running against presumably the goodest oldest boy.
That's Jerry, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. His name is Jerry. We don't necessarily need to name anybody on this podcast.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It's not a secret.
Yeah.
It's just most of the listeners don't know these people anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
And for me, that's how I know him. I don't
right, because I use these people's names when I'm talking to you.
Yeah, I don't refer to him as the goodest oldest boy.
Right,
Maybe I should from now on.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, so, I talk to Rich pretty much every day about the stuff that's going on in the branch, and we talk about other stuff, too. We talk about our other podcast, the Scafaciverse.
Yeah.
Where... very different from Classes of Mail.
You can say that.
Yeah, you certainly can. But anyway, like, you've heard as an outsider, now you only hear things from my perspective.
Sure, and obviously that does bias it a little bit.
Right.
But, the thing is, I've had plenty of experience in my own union, and I've had experience in corporations and jobs and management. And the story isn't all that dissimilar.
Yeah.
These things tend to happen in just about any
institution.
Any institution. Eventually people get entrenched.
Right.
And they become entrenched and they start to lose touch with kind of the rank and file.
Dude. I have a friend who's a professor at a small university, and they go through the same crap there, where people get into these positions of comfort and then start doing shady stuff to keep that.
Well, and look, obviously I don't know all the things that go on inside your union or at your union hall, but when people are delivering mail for years and years and years out in the Vegas sun, and now suddenly they
makes
wake
you go
up
crazy.
Yeah, well, now suddenly though they wake up and they drive into the office, so to speak.
Right.
And they sit there in the air conditioning and they have a cup of coffee or a Coke or, they eat their breakfast and they're doing all these things, handling, union business. And, the story's always the same. They'll tell you, oh, we're doing this for you. I'm going to Tampa Bay for you. I'm going to be there for a whole week for you.
Right.
And that's the thing is that mentality starts to, permeate.
Right.
And they get used to it, and then they start to hold on,
right?
Because the
going
thought
back to
of
delivering
going
mail.
back out in 115 degrees to deliver mail, that's not as appealing as it is to sit there and wear regular clothes into the office, and you're not doing that physical labor anymore in those bad conditions. And I mean, look, it's not like I can't wrap my head around.
Yeah, of course.
The problem is that becomes their focus. I mean, it's like politicians who only run to keep the job.
Right. Their number one job is just staying elected, getting reelected.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they don't work as hard for the people, their constituents, so to speak. And, it starts to corrupt them because, dude, the thought of going back out there, dude, it ain't a good one. Like I said, it's hard to go on all these nice little trips and have these dinners as a working. Oh, this is like I'm working right now.
Right.
No, dude. We know it's not.
When I went to our convention in Boston, I paid my own way there.
Yeah.
And I went to the maximal number of classes. I was present during all the meetings. And then I had the podcast on top of that, and dude, it still beat working.
Well, and so let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
You went to the convention and you went to these classes. Now, when you went and did a podcast episode, did you bring that information to the audience?
Yes.
Okay, so in a sense, you did a seminar. right?
Yes, I think I know where you're going with this.
Yeah.
Do go on.
Well, and so one of the things that I know from talking to you
Right.
is that when union members go on these field trips
right.
to different...
If the branch pays for it.
The branch
yeah.
pays for it. They're
Right.
supposed to return and then do a seminar to bring that information and disseminate it.
That's exactly right.
To the people that paid for that trip.
That's exactly right.
Now, from what I hear, I don't know if it's true, but from what I hear, those seminars don't really ever happen.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, this was part of the charges that were brought against my branch president that, hey, you're supposed to be in charge of making sure that our bylaws are enforced. He is the enforcer of the bylaws. And so, in our bylaws that we're supposed to have these seminars. Now, the national convention comes out of a separate fund. The state convention comes out of a separate fund. So those don't apply.
Well, and I don't want to talk out of turn.
Yeah, that's fine.
And
I will talk.
Yeah, but
So
go ahead.
So but there's been plenty of other classes and special meetings, and that's what it says, like special meetings and classes, something like that have happened, and there has never been a seminar, at least not in my memory.
And you've been working there for how long?
Well, I mean, I've been there for 19 years.
Okay,
there may have been
long...
seminars 10 years ago that I don't know about.
Okay, but
when we brought the charges up, right, he never said, like, well, that's not really in the bylaws, because, yes, it is in the bylaws. His excuse for not doing this thing that's... all right, so to further lay the foundation, if you don't do the seminar, you have to pay the branch back for the cost of sending you there, because that's the deal.
Who's responsible for making sure that happens?
The president.
No, but okay, so if the president, though, is responsible for making sure the seminar happens,
yeah,
and the president falls short of making that seminar happen,
this is the problem we have.
Is there someone that's supposed to, like, hey, do the seminar?
Yes, that's such a great point. So this is a financial issue because now the branch money is being misspent. The branch is supposed to be repaid, and that's not happening. So the treasurer should be like, hey, we need that money back because you never did your seminar.
Yeah, so the treasurer at some point should be like, hey, this seminar never occurred.
Right, so
but
we
we
need
still
you to
spent
pay
however many dollars.
Yeah, $9,000 or whatever it is. Yeah, so we need that money back.
Yeah, but that hasn't happened either.
No, it has not.
So,
but then it gets even deeper.
Okay.
Because if the treasurer doesn't catch something, the trustees should catch it.
Okay.
And because their job is to look over this stuff and make sure everything's on the up and up.
Now, do these trustees go on these trips as well?
Sometimes.
Okay, so it does happen.
Yeah.
They can be invited.
They can be invited. Yeah,
Okay.
they can do that as well. And the problem we have here is all of these people are a rubber stamp for our branch president. And it's even more than that because one of our trustees is the treasurer's wife.
Okay.
And another trustee is the president's girlfriend. And so they're probably not really interested in saying, hey, you need to pay the branch back.
That kind of feels like a conflict of interest.
I mean, they got elected.
Do you think if the president goes on a trip, his girlfriend might go with him?
Well, we just had, Michael talked about this. We had our trip to the AFL-CIO convention in Reno.
Yeah.
And we pay for our delegates to go to this convention, and the president was a delegate, so we paid for his trip. And I'm pretty sure this comes out of a separate fund where they don't have to do the seminar. But regardless, we know that his girlfriend went. I don't know who paid for it. She wasn't a delegate to the convention, as I understand it from Michael. So hopefully she paid her own way.
Maybe,
I don't know. It's something.
Yeah, we can't say she did or didn't.
I don't know if she did or didn't. Right.
But what I'm saying is I am sure that over the course of, I don't know, however long for this has been going on for, that people have gone on these trips and no seminar. It's just a free trip. And look, let me tell you, I used to go on business trips for my old company, okay? And they would pay for the trip, so I'd get a flight to wherever.
Yep.
And they would put me up in a room.
Yep.
And they would give me vouchers to get dinner.
Right.
And things like that, so I didn't have to spend out of my own pocket.
Yeah.
And they'd give me an expense account so I could have drinks. And so basically, I'd go on this trip, I'd do the work.
Right.
But everything else was paid for. I didn't really have to come out of pocket unless I wanted something special for myself.
Right.
Well, I'd sometimes be gone for 4 or 5 days on an essentially all expenses paid trip. And I didn't work all 4 or 5 days.
Right.
So I'd have usually a day or maybe 2 to kind of do whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
And if I needed a car, guess who paid for that?
Oh, the company.
The company paid for the car.
Right.
And so I was basically able to go do whatever the hell I wanted.
All right.
And have a little fun. And so while it may not be, a trip to the Caribbean,
right,
dude, it's still a free trip.
So this brings up, there are more effective ways to spend branch money on stuff like that. Like,
Sure.
for example, one of the things that Michael and I want to do if we get elected is for the next convention, the national convention. The last one was in Boston. The next one's in L.A.
Oh,
LA
okay.
is very convenient to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So convenient that I think it would be kind of crazy to fly to LA, rent a car. Like, no, we should just drive.
Yeah,
to
I mean, especially
LA.
it's like you can make that drive in like 4.5 hours.
Right, exactly. And so maybe the branch, instead of buying a bunch of plane tickets like we had to buy for Boston, buy people gas. Hey, if you have people in your car, we'll pay for your gas.
Or maybe just like rent a big minivan and take 8 or 10 people down.
You could do that too. Yeah, or even a bus.
Yeah.
We could charter a bus. Right. All of that is really affordable. But what that enables us to do is to maximize the number of delegates that we can send to the LA convention. The more delegates we send, the bigger the voice our branch has. And that's something that's good for our branch. We have a big branch and we don't do shit with it.
Yeah.
And so Michael and I want to make it a priority to get as many delegates as we can down to this convention. And so that's something that the branch can do, but right now, there's no desire for that from leadership because they just want their trip, and to do things the way that we've always done them.
Oh, yeah. And that's another problem is that, it's my granddaddy did it. And
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And that's the way we're going to do it.
Right.
And bylaws be damned. And that's a big problem, obviously, because they're doing things that, not the right way.
Right.
And from talking to you for so long about this, it seems like there is a pretty straightforward agenda here of not doing things the right way that is just been going on in perpetuity.
Yeah, in perpetuity. Yeah, absolutely.
And it just goes on and on and on. And any attempt to push back against that is met with essentially retribution.
Yeah.
Let's call it what it is.
Right, which is why I'm not a steward right now.
Yeah,
which is why I got taken out of the Carrier Academy.
Yeah, and so, I mean, I haven't, I'm not on every show, obviously, but I know that you applied to be a steward a few months ago at least.
Yeah.
Right? And
I think it was May.
Does your brand, or does your station have a steward?
We still have a vacancy.
So there's still a vacancy.
Yep.
You're still, hand raised.
Yeah.
And there's no other way to look at it. Any reasonable person would look at this and clearly say it's a personal issue. The president simply doesn't want to put you there. It has nothing to do with the quality of your work. It has nothing to do with your qualifications. It has nothing to do with your vigor and your attempts to fight against bad management.
Right.
And serve. Let's get it right. Serve the people at your station.
Right. And the will of the people at my station to be served by me.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost, it's like 80%, 8 out of 10 are like, let's get Alan in there.
The last time I put a petition around, every single carrier at the station signed it except the president's girlfriend.
Okay. And so obviously, right, he's now just spitting in the face of that station.
Yeah,
he
that is
doesn't,
correct.
I mean, and when you look at that as from leadership,
right?
Like people in what's the number of your branch?
2502.
2502. Okay, you deserve better. You deserve better than that.
Right. And I'm not alone in this situation.
No,
I'm not the only person who he retaliates against. And we have people come up to us after the union meetings, or they'll talk to us in private and say, yeah, I'm really on your side, but I can't stand up and vote with you at the meeting because I'm afraid that the president's going to retaliate against me.
Just that, saying that alone.
Exactly. That's already damning.
Exactly. It's so damning.
Yeah.
That people are afraid that their own union president will retaliate against them, which in turn retaliates against their station.
Yes.
Because he would remove them as a steward or whatever. And I mean, come on. That's like the opposite of what he's supposed to do.
Yeah. How fucking insecure do you have to be that any resistance is met this way?
Well, that's what happens when the fear of going back.
Right. Heaven forbid you have to put mail in the box again.
Exactly.
Right,
you don't want to put mail in the box. And so, dude, you have to crush resistance.
Right.
And when you're in that power position like he is, like that bully pulpit,
yep.
and he can sit there and just decree things.
Right.
And deny things, and he can act solely on his own accord to do whatever, good or bad.
Right.
He's choosing to do the wrong thing, and he chooses it like almost every time.
Dude, and you can see this when we've been able to get outside of the bubble of people who fear his retaliation. Like his own executive board, we've heard from people on the executive board that, oh, if I stand up, I'm going to get iced out. I'm going to get blackballed. And we know that's true because we've seen it happen.
Yeah.
But once we get outside of that sphere of influence, like at the branch meetings, when Michael and I have brought up issues that go to a vote, the rank and file carriers who actually put the mail in the box are voting with us.
Yeah, it's
the executive board and the retirees.
Yeah, people who no longer have to put mail in a box.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Or people who are dependent on him for their continued life of luxury or whatever it is. Yeah, those are the people who vote with the executive board. But the rank and file, the people who have that skin in the game, they're voting with us already.
Well, you guys represent fairness, change,
right,
and doing things the right way,
right.
And they represent essentially the old boys network,
right.
That is just gonna.
So to take it even further, when we've had to go over the head of the people who run our branch and take this to the national level, do you know what our winning percentage is at that next level?
I think I do. It's 100%.
You are correct. It is 100%.
Exactly. So once the power is no longer vested in the president,
right? And we're just looking at the merits.
To make a decision. Yeah, and we're essentially going to court.
Right.
You guys haven't lost yet, and he always loses.
Yeah.
Now look, to always lose every single time, right? Is not a good track record.
True.
Okay, it's pathetic.
Yeah.
2, there's no way you could be that wrong all the time just coincidentally. You have to go out of your way. You know the rules.
Right.
You're aware of the rules.
Dude.
And you just don't care.
And the goodest oldest boy is such a good example of that. Because think back to when we had to rerun our first election and we're fighting this out in the branch. And the branch voted by a supermajority to rerun the election.
Which still hasn't happened, by the way.
Still hasn't happened. And so then the president's
almost
cronies,
a year ago.
Yeah. And then the president's cronies petitioned to overturn the branch's decision.
Yeah,
right. And so they send their petition up, but then the branch gets to respond. I know you know what happened, but just to recap for the listeners, right? Because the branch, my appeal was sustained by the branch.
Yeah.
So the branch says, yes, we agree with Alan. And then you have these other people, the president's cronies, who were like, no, we disagree. We think the branch is wrong. So they send up their petition to national. Well, the branch gets to respond.
Yeah.
And say, well, this is why the branch feels this way, so that it's not just one side going up to national.
And guess what happened?
Yeah.
I know
the president declared, oh, I am the president. I will speak for the branch.
And then spoke for his side.
Yeah.
And didn't represent what the branch actually wanted.
So we talk about people knowingly doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Well, when I talked to the goodest oldest boy, hey, what's the story with this response? He said, oh, the response for the branch is really just like an accounting of what happened.
Yeah.
Just a timeline. It doesn't take one side or the other.
Which just was another lie.
Yeah, exactly. Because I know that went through his hands on its way to national. And then when I got my hands on what the president actually wrote, he totally undermined the branch's position, completely did not represent what the branch's will was, and threw the branch under the bus.
And so, speaking to the branch members that listen to the show here,
right?
You guys deserve better.
Oh, dude, look, it's so unethical.
And the thing is,
and to fucking lie about it on top of that.
Yeah, you have to go out. It's not enough to just you yourself support the ticket with you and Michael.
Me and Michael and whoever else.
You have to tell a friend. And then, I mean, look, you're fighting an uphill battle against the odds
Right.
And
yeah, we know the incumbents have all the advantages, that they win like 95% of the time.
well, and the only way to buck that system
Yep.
is to turn out so many votes
Right.
that it overwhelms their bullshit.
Right.
And
Their cronies and the retirees.
yeah, is that you just simply outnumber them, which is like any vote.
Yeah.
And you but that you can't be apathetic, and
Right.
you can't believe, well, of course it's going to change. No, it won't.
No.
And in fact, people like the president and his cronies, as evidenced by the last election,
Right.
if there is a lever they can pull to undermine the results or to make it harder
Yeah.
for the non-incumbents
Right.
to win, they are going to pull that lever every single time.
Dude, just like telling me that I couldn't run for, at that
yeah.
point, it was vice president and steward. No, you got to pick one. You can't run for both, which was an absolute fucking lie.
Yeah, I mean,
They could have been mistaken.
Let's
you know.
assume that
They just don't know.
Yeah,
Okay.
that maybe they're just ignorant because they've proven to be ignorant
Sure.
and incompetent.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? But let's say that they're just ignorant. Okay, that they're just I am positive prior to this final decision, they were made aware of the rules.
Sure.
And then because they have the power to interpret it in their own way,
Right.
they interpret it towards themselves. Oh, shocker.
Yeah, exactly. Right, these self-serving
Yeah,
decisions.
they make these self-serving decisions, and then that goes up to national, right?
Yeah.
And that also, they're wrong there too.
Yeah.
And so it's again and again
Right,
and
it's
again.
this pattern.
It's a cascade. It's a goddamn Niagara Falls of shitty, fucked up,
Right.
bad decisions that are all self-serving.
100%. Dude, I remember when somebody else had brought charges against our president, and we have this argument. You know, it was not run in accordance with Article 10. Imagine that. Yeah, but then we have this vote. And people who wound up standing up on the executive board, who have since been iced out, of course, had said, look, people have reason, like they openly said, people have reason to fear retaliation from the president. And so when we do this vote on the president's guilt, we should do it by secret ballot.
Yeah.
And then the opposition said, well, the Article 10 says that the vote is by simple majority. And we're like, yeah, okay, so we're going to vote by secret ballot. And they say, no, it says simple majority, and a secret ballot's not simple. And like, what? And so the goodest oldest boy was one of the people arguing this position. And like, dude, this guy's been in the branch forever. He knows what a secret ballot is. He knows what simple majority means. And he's still arguing.
Well, those two things aren't even the same fucking
thing.
thing.
They're completely unrelated. Simple majority is a math term.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
it just means more than 50%.
Yeah, 51 outnumbers 49.
Yeah, right.
That's it.
Exactly. And so I'm like, at this point, I was still naive. You know, I thought that like, oh, this guy.
He's just dumb?
He's just dumb.
No.
And so I go up to him with my laptop and I show him the definition of simple majority. And he's like, I know the definition of, and I'm like, you're not acting like you know.
Yeah.
But that's that dishonesty.
Sure.
That on that core level, that any way to manipulate to favor themselves, that's what they're going to do, whether it's honest or not.
No, well, in those cases, though, the more you look back on it, you see that there's a calculated
Oh, yeah. No question.
agenda here. This isn't just, they're just, oh, we made a mistake again.
Dude,
no.
With the delivery of charges, like when Michael and I got charged and we got handed the charges right before the meeting and like, here, read these and be ready.
Eat a dick.
Yeah. But then when it's time for them to charge one of their own, I'm not going to give that to them right before the meeting. That would be wrong.
Yeah, no.
Dude, that double standard is so consistent.
Yeah.
Across the... And it's unethical.
Well, and once again, your branch deserves better.
There you go.
And that's the thing is you guys deserve to not be treated that way as a whole. I mean,
yeah. Why do we have to keep going to national to get fair interprets of?
Well, because they're not all, dude. They ain't about that life,
right?
Dude,
Exactly.
they're not trying to.
Yeah,
do
there's
things
your
fair.
evidence.
You know, and that's the thing is that if every situation they tilt the board to their own, favor, right, and they'll do it to Alan, they'll do it to whoever. They don't care. You are insignificant as long as they don't have to deliver mail. I mean, look, they get trips. They don't have to deliver mail. They probably show up kind of whenever to work.
I wouldn't know.
Look, I know when I was the boss of my old company, I was supposed to be there at a certain time, right?
Right.
Sometimes I would come in a little late.
Uh-huh.
You know who got in trouble for that?
No one, of
Nobody.
course. Yeah.
Right, because it was me.
That's the issue.
I could do it if I wanted to.
Right.
And if I needed to go home a little early, guess what? I just went home a little early.
Sure.
Right? But, I was wired to just work hard. And so I never really did those kind of things. But if I needed to, it just did it. And if I needed to call out sick, I just called out sick.
Right.
I didn't have to tell anybody.
Right.
Right? Hey, I just called my boss. Hey, I'm not coming in today. I don't feel good. Right?
Yeah.
And these little perks...
Right. I'm sure they're very nice.
The spending account, the not having to go out and do all the work all the time.
Right.
Dude, it adds up it gets pretty comfortable. And dude, I didn't want to lose that job. I left it on my own accordance.
Right.
Right. But the reality is I had people under me to do those jobs. And so I didn't have to do it anymore. And now when you're in a union position, those guys... They deliver zero mail.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
They ain't walking in 115 degrees. They're not getting chased by dogs.
Right.
And they don't have to deal with management's bullshit.
Yeah.
Right? They don't get anybody leaning on them to do anything. Dude, they're in a really, really good spot.
Dude, so I heard from someone
Fat
who
and happy.
who had gotten a job down there. I'm not an insider, obviously, but I have friends who are insiders. And I heard about one of the people who got one of these positions where they're down at the union hall all the time. That person was fairly like reform minded and a straight shooter. But now that they're down at the union hall all the time, their perspective has changed. And they're like, it's really nice being down at the union hall. And I don't want to do anything to mess that up.
Of course not. No.
Right. And that's the problem.
Yeah. And that's the problem. And that's something that if you guys get elected, you guys are going to have to fight against that.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's a grind to stay connected to the rank and file and not
completely.
fall victim to your own.
Right.
I want to stay here, and I'm not going to risk losing, and so
Right.
I'm going to kind of tilt things. You guys will have to fight that.
Right.
But that's a fight that if you're wired to fight it,
Yeah.
you'll fight that fight.
That's the way I always was. Like as a teacher, when I was teaching in the academy, it was incredibly important to me to stay connected to the struggles of the CCAs.
Absolutely.
To make sure that I knew what they were going through.
Yeah, because those are the entry level guys.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was preparing people to become. But I knew that like that's the person who most needs the help. That's the person who most needs the training. That's the person who's most likely going to get their rights violated by management. And so that's who we need to most take care of. And dude, I remember when I first became a union steward that I was like, all right, I want to make sure that I take care of CCAs. Like, what should I look at in the contract to make sure that they get taken care of? And the response was like, who cares? They're CCAs. And that's the problem, dude. That's what we're up against.
Yeah. Well, and now, when is this election supposed to happen?
It'll happen in the month of September 2025.
Okay, well, that's soon.
Yeah, it's coming up
Right, you
soon.
guys need to...
So we'll get
this
nominated.
campaign ramping up stuff needs to happen. I'm going to have to come back on.
Yeah, we'll get nominated. Well, I got a bunch of episodes in the can right now.
Yeah.
I don't know when this one's going to release.
Yeah.
So, but we'll get nominated at the beginning of September 3rd. And then the voting happens in September.
Okay.
And then the results are in October.
Dude, that's soon. So from the time nomination happens to the time the election happens, how long is it?
It's a month.
So you have a month. Well,
right.
You said
but the ballots go out in September. They don't, and then they come in. It's by mail.
So, but what I'm saying is nomination happens September 3rd.
Yep.
When do ballots go out?
Maybe a week later.
So you have a week of campaigning.
Yeah, basically. I mean, we're kind of campaigning
now.
Yeah, because we know we're going to be nominated for these positions.
Yeah.
Michael for president, me for secretary, and there's a few others.
But I mean,
the
amount of time is short.
Yeah, the time is short.
And getting enough people aware is key. It's
right.
The difference going to be between winning and losing.
That's it. Yeah.
Is making that awareness, and that's where your listeners
right. Yeah.
come in, man, is because that's the army. Dude, that's the ground roots,
right.
grassroots effort to make a change for their own good. And that's what has to happen. I mean, that's why I'm the campaign manager, man.
Right, right.
Is like,
dude, I really like how you keep bringing it back to the campaign.
You goddamn right, dude. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
Man. Like, I'll talk with you all day about the ills of, the union and the things they do.
Right.
But what I'm really focused on is making that change.
Right.
As your unpaid campaign manager.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Is that you always gotta be closing, man. That's the difference. Is you gotta close that deal. And the thing is you gotta reach out to those people, even people that are not here in Las Vegas, because I know you have listeners all over the country.
Yeah.
Right. But look, man, in your own unions, where things are maybe not going the right way, or maybe leadership there isn't the way it's supposed to be. You have to fight that fight, and it never stops.
Right.
You have to get up every morning. You have to grind. You have to embrace the suck, and you have to make those changes because they will not change themselves.
No. We're starting to see some changes in our branch because they finally are starting to realize that, like, we're watching and we will read the bylaws and we will make an issue out of it. But I'll tell you, one of the issues from the last election was that there was no fund set aside for the election. That, like, the branch, if you're going to spend the branch's money, you have to get the branch's approval.
Yeah.
And so in September, we're supposed to get all the ballots printed and mailed out. And I don't think there's been a vote to approve the money for it yet. It's possible that it was at a meeting I missed. I don't think so, though.
I mean, it's probably, but I would expect that to be a bit of a rubber stamp. However.
Yeah. Oh, the branch always approves it. Yeah. That's not the issue.
But what is being approved? Because last time they didn't send the right ballots.
Well,
last time there was a lot of discrepancies.
Dude, and the committee
who's running that?
The election committee is supposed to handle all of that, which is now a 3-person committee from national.
Yeah.
Because our branch cannot be trusted.
Because they did a bang-up job
last time. Exactly. Because you know who ordered the ballots last time? One of the candidates.
Yeah.
The president.
I'm surprised they didn't just leave you off of it.
Dude. Well, and that's the issue, right? I mean, it could have just been plain old incompetence, but it's weird how, to your point, the incompetence always seems to favor the incumbent.
Yeah, look, if it's ignorance, incompetence, ineptitude, all the good I words, right? If it's any of those three, none of those paint a really glorious picture of the people running things.
Yeah.
And then when you start to look at the back end of it, it's, well, how did this decision turn out? Oh, look at that. It turned out good for them.
Right.
And that's where, anybody paying attention should see that this is not, they're not playing on a level field here. They are not playing by the rules. In fact, they don't even care about the rules. The rules to them are utterly meaningless.
Right.
And all they care about is that free trip to Tampa or LA or Reno or wherever.
Right. Get to have lunch at your own desk.
Get to have lunch at your own desk that is probably paid for by the branch, at least on some occasions, because we're gonna have a working lunch, and I'm doing this for you.
I can't speak to that.
Well, you can't. But look, man, I know from being involved in these things, dude. We used to have lunch catered,
right,
at my old job, all the time. They didn't ever ask me to pitch in.
Right,
okay?
right. I got you.
Right,
yeah.
They did it on the dime.
Right.
Okay, on the company dime, and we'd have a working lunch
at
a restaurant, and you know how much work stuff got described.
Very little, I'm sure.
Very little.
Yeah.
Right. Very little. I mean, it's just on paper so that they could justify having this nice lunch.
Right.
Because who doesn't want to have a nice lunch? And I get it.
And dude, that's the kind of thing where I know my own ethics. And like when I went to the convention in Boston, there was a branch dinner or a dinner put on by the Nevada State Association of Letter Carriers. And it was at this really expensive restaurant where the state association is going to pay for all these people. And I didn't go.
No.
Because that's unethical.
Sure.
That's not where our members' money should be going, to buy us all this big, expensive dinner.
Dude, I mean, I bet you a deep dive into the books. Dude, I bet you we find this stuff all the time.
The last treasurer.
Improprieties in any union.
Right.
Any union, any business. There's always someone who will, dude, I'm going to buy that new pair of boots. And they do it, they figure out a way.
Right.
And they
I don't know. I can't speak to that.
No, I'm not saying that happens. I'm saying
Right.
that it's a very common thing.
Right.
I'm sure, look, based on their history,
Right.
it's clear your leadership there is totally above board. They would never do anything to serve themselves, right? So there's no way.
Well, I know they went to that dinner.
Yeah, there's no way they would take advantage of anything ever. I mean, it's beyond thinking about it, but we all know it's probably happening.
Well, that's a good place to leave it.
Yeah.
If you want that to change, you have to vote for Michael and me and for the rest of the reform candidates. And turnout is going to decide this election. It always does, because there's just a base of people who are checked out. They don't know what's going on, and they're just automatically going to vote for the name they recognize.
Absolutely.
And so we need turnout to overcome that.
Yeah.
And that's where you, the listener, come in.
Yeah, we need like 500 of you fuckers.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as a percentage of the branch, we need like 20% more to come out and vote on our side.
Yeah.
It feels very achievable.
Well,
but
yeah,
man,
but
apathy is a hell of a drug.
Well, apathy is a hell of a drug, and the thing is like, I'm sure there's stations that are far away from your station, that are in their own world, and the fact is that they don't really know you.
Yeah. It's absolutely true.
And
that's where the incumbents, again, have this huge advantage. Their name is out there all the time. They get to go visit the station, talk to people.
Well, and their name's on the newsletter. And,
all that
everything.
stuff. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So, all right, that'll do for now. Thank you for your commitment to my campaign and to keeping us on track with like, hey, campaign.
Yeah.
So, all right, that's all I got for this time. Guys, please vote. Please, if you know people in Las Vegas, make sure that they vote. That's the process, and that's how we're going to make change.
Yep.
All right, thanks for listening, guys. I'll catch you next time.